Hello, Mario.
Hello there. How are you?
Hello, Marcia.
Hello.
Oops. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better. There we
Yeah,
go.
my mic is about 5 feet behind me. Okay. So you're in your Pilates studio.
Yes, yes.
How many mats comfortably?
Let's try 8
You can take
with
8.
social distancing.
Yes. And without social distancing? What's
Probably
your max?
10 to
10.
12.
Yeah. That's the perfect number.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's everybody's there. I'm recording. Megan's watching what we're doing. Well, hello, everybody. Actual people. People look at eyes. Oh my gosh, look people. They say, oh, Commissioner, she's online. She's just lying down. Having a bit of a nap. And we've got the marimba outside, which I could go shut it down, but I don't think I want to. No, I'd like just move it a little farther away from the windows. And then they chose not to. We've got the vegan market happening in here today, so you might be able to hear the marimbas in the background. Anybody? No? You can. It's beautiful out there. It's great for the yoga teacher trainers to have the vegan market on their lecture days. They get to go have lunch and sit in the lawn and have some fun. There you are. Commissioner, I was stalling. Good job. You're back. Good timing. Okay. It feels like they're a million miles away. And we can't see Mia. There you go. I know it's a little bit intimate, but there you all are. So who today would just love to take us through a meditation? Did Marcia put up her hand? Did she just do that? Or did she scratch her? What was that? I saw something. I didn't know what it was. Playing with her headset. Well, that was an ill-timed tip. Marcia is going to take us through a short. See how her connection is. Can you speak to us, Marcia? And we'll see if your Wi-Fi is going to cooperate.
Okay. How is the sound? Can you hear me nice and clearly?
Yeah, let me just make that. Keep talking.
Okay, can you in the meantime come to a comfortable seated position? Can you hear me nice and clearly? On the ground. Relax your hands either on your knees or in front of you. And for those of you who are perhaps sitting on a chair, your feet on the ground. Okay. Close your eyes. Inhale deeply. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. For a moment, just observe yourself, what you're feeling. Mouth, and we let it go. Inhale. Exhale, let it go. In the distance, there may be some sounds around you. Just let your mind notice them, but bring your inner focus back to your breathing. Inhaling from the belly up to the crown, exhaling. Inhale from the belly, on those things that do not serve you. Take a few moments for yourself in the silence, in the stillness, continuing to focus on your breathing, nice deep and gentle inhales and exhales. You can slowly bring your attention to your body, maybe wiggle your fingers, slowly flutter your eyes open. And as you do that, try to keep that feeling of calm with you for the rest of the day. Thank you.
Your eyes closed. Thank you, Marcia. So since we're together on this side, we're going to do an orbit of alms. So each one of us is going to do one after another, starting with, yeah.
Okay.
And then I'll go.
Okay, take a deep breath to prepare.
Inhale to prepare.
Inhale to prepare. Inhale to prepare.
Bask in the energies we've created together. Deepen your experience into yourself. Remember that it feels good when you are connected to your inner world, your subtle body. Remember that frequency. Anytime you're feeling worn or tired or battered by your inner dialogue, seek the solace of your inner world and your experience of you. And put your hands to heart. We'll end with gratitude to creation for the gift to be who you are. You'll lower your hands and you can start blinking your eyes into the room. Sorry, Marcia. I don't know if it's my speaker or that your microphone was quite low. Oh, so this is interesting. Somebody say something that's up. Anybody? Marcia? Say hello.
Yes.
Yeah, just adjusting my sound.
Okay. I'm speaking normally, but I think the reaction on the other side says it was quite loud.
No. Just now, yes. One of the plugs wasn't in. Okay, let's see if that's better. We could barely hear you during your meditation because one of my plugs was out.
Okay.
The marimba
Sorry
was
about
not.
that.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
The homework was, what was the homework again, Megan?
Well, I got it wrong. With the meditation, sacred me, sacred breath, sacred now. And then to write down negative thought patterns that occur.
Okay, so patterns, actually it's patterns in your life, things that keep happening over and over and over again, so that you know that it's happened historically. So we'll get to that. You got a few minutes to write things down. What was the first one again? Oh yeah, meditation. So did anybody do a sacred meditation, the 3 things? Anybody remember to do that other than Megan? Oh yeah.
Well, I did meditation. I did, because I like the meditation that we did in class.
Yes.
So I did that again. But I told Megan and Anke that I found that with meditation, it's a lot easier for me to light a candle and focus on the flame while I'm doing it.
Yes.
But yeah.
And that's also quite sacred.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, and that is the Buddhist way. So that might be more of what works for you. Okay, beautiful.
I didn't do the triple, but
Yep.
I brought in just that feeling in like 2 minutes. I had quite a crazy week, but I did do 1-2 minutes or 2.
That's enough.
Yeah, but it was nice just to focus on the feeling and just get out of my head a bit and drop into like the feeling.
Experience.
Yeah.
Experiencing you being a human being.
Mm.
Yes. Well, that's wise, especially since that's what we are.
Yeah.
And it felt better, right?
Yeah, it was, yeah, no, it felt good.
And Megan's here.
For me, it's really nice. I like visualizing things. So visualizing the sacred space for me was, I've actually done that a lot before. And that's really calms me down a lot.
Okay, beautiful. So you did that. Okay. Anybody else in digital land? Did you do the sacred, any kind of sacred meditation since Wednesday? Yes. So, and Marianne as well. So did you anything to share, Mariki? No. That's a clear no.
Nothing significant. Yeah, I just also stick to one. So the one sacred place like we did during Wednesday's session.
Yes.
So yeah, I stuck to that one, and yeah, just keep going back to that same space and place, even while I'm awake. So that was quite nice.
Beautiful. Thank you. And Marianne, anything to share?
No, not really.
Okay.
It was good. Good to be in that space.
Kamishni?
No, nothing much to share.
Except you're still in Durban.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm leaving tomorrow, so I won't be joining you guys because I'll be on the road back to
Oh,
Jan.
shame.
Yeah.
Okay. Shame. Well, you can watch the recording. And Marcia, anything in regards to the, did you do the?
No, I missed Wednesday's session, Brian, and I haven't
Yes.
yet had an opportunity to catch up, so
Okay.
I didn't do any homework.
Okay, so be it. Okay, thank you. So any patterns? So what we were talking about, and if Megan didn't quite get it right, I have a feeling that this might be the homework this week too. But we were noticing patterns of things that kept happening in our life that were probably undesirable. Things that you didn't want to have happen, whether it's with money or relationship or family or friends, any patterns that have emerged for you that are new. So did anybody write any of those down?
That are new.
Like, well, it might be new to you. Like, it's not like, we don't want to rehash stuff that you sorted out in the 1980s, if you were born by then. So, any patterns? So I'm going to take a couple minutes now and just take a look to see if there's any patterns.
Like negative.
Negative patterns. Same thing keeps happening over and over that's undesirable. Relationship, money, your relationship with yourself, but well, patterns out in the world is very telling. Yeah, sorry. Sorry to disappoint. Sounded like Linz.
Like cats and dogs, because when they hear the crinkle.
Yeah, they're there.
Like thoughts are easy. Can pattern thoughts also be one? Because that would make it easier.
It would make it easier.
That's like proper habit.
We're trying to locate things out in the world, if you can.
That are happening that are negative.
Yes. If you can look backwards, just go look backwards and look for something that you is not desirable. It's a negative impact in your life. And then pick something and then look to see if it happened before. So just pick something that comes to mind historically that you didn't like. Oh my God. And then ask yourself, when did this last happen? And then you can start maybe collecting if there's more than one of them. Never seen that before. I like it. It's artistry.
helpful.
Okay, so an example, the tried and true one is take a look at your last 3 relationships or 5 relationships, and then look to see, you know, if something didn't work, what was that? That's the easiest one. For those of you that have been married for 20 or 30 years, that's probably not going to be going to work for you. But then you can see a pattern of something about how they're annoying you. You can go with that one because there's plenty there. Now, I'm not going to make you talk about these because you guys are already being nervous about just looking. so I'm not going to make you say them. Just get in touch with them yourselves. Opening up little drawers, looking to see what's in them, and then closing the drawer quickly.
Can we lock them?
And however you usually deal with that stuff. But the point of it is there's nothing in those drawers that will scare you unless you have a judgment, usually about yourself. I should be different. I should have done something different. How could I be so foolish? Or why do I keep doing X, Y, or Z? All judgments. There's nothing scary in the drawers unless you're judging yourself or somebody else. So, and that, we do have an agreement not to judge ourselves for the entire length of these lectures, and I'm sure you've all succeeded at 100%. So, we'll just do some more of that. It's a little chilly in here, isn't it?
No, it's not. I'm really warm.
Okay, if you get cold, let me know and we'll put a little bit of heat on or get some blankies. So, who does not have anything written down? Nothing. Zero. Zippo. Okay, write it in code so nobody knows. So who doesn't have? Marianne has nothing written. Anka does.
I've got loads.
I have one is in code and then
Yeah, we don't look at that page though. So let's not look at that page. Okay, there you go. But we have some. Okay, good. Yes, good job. Okay, so then these things, what we want to be doing with these things, you've started the looking. This is the part about being self-reflective. So when we actually have gained enough energy on the side of the Dharma, light and space and energy, and we're feeling good about ourselves, then we can actually take some of that energy and focus on the shadow. And that you have the energy to be able to process anything that you can find there. And there's nothing to be scared of in the shadow other than your judgments, which are lies. You're not being fair to yourself in some kind of way. So that's just, and we start inching towards that. We start getting better at taking a look at the stuff that you don't want to look at. Emotional intelligence is that we look, if you're not looking at it, you've attached meaning to it that is not kind. Is that you're judging yourself and there's something wrong with you and you'd really rather not deal with it. And if there's a pattern there, by not looking at it, you just ensure that it keeps happening, keeps revolving. Kamishni, have you been able to write anything? Think of anything?
Yes, I've got my.
Good job, Kamishni. Okay. And Anka, it looked like you were writing there. Did you write some things down?
yeah.
I mean, Mariki?
Yeah, got a few.
Okay, good. So nobody else has to say anything about their what's written down except for you.
Me.
Just kidding.
I can share a simple one.
If you want, I was kidding, but if you're brave, why not?
Well, it's really quite silly, but I've already started changing it actually. So, for instance, for example, when myself and my husband go to any shop, he always managed to find parking in front of the building for some kind of reason, and it never happens to me. So I always have this thing when I drive and I go to a shop, I know I'll park at the back as far as parking I can possibly find, because there's no way I'll find parking in front of the building anyway.
Of course.
So I never go there because it's a waste of time, you know.
Yes.
And then slowly but surely, I got kind of jealous about this fact that my husband always finds or managed to find this parking spot, especially when it's raining.
Yeah.
And then I just gradually started changing my mindset, and I was like, I will find parking here. And now I've been lucky enough to repeat that about a few times already. So yeah, I'm just keeping it up.
Yeah. So yes, it's an easy example and a soft example, but an example nevertheless. And it's a good example of we create as we speak, abracadabra. So it's a beautiful example of that. I was kidding, so thanks, Mariki. The response was cool. Okay, so I sent you all that, well, before we do that, that just confuses things. So what was the point about perceptions and perceptions of reality? And we talked about those perceptions.
What do you mean by the point? We've all, like, everyone's got their own two realities and inner worlds. And
Yes.
we try and communicate with each other as if we're on the same reality, and that's
Yes.
how we talk past each other.
Yes.
So it's good to try and understand the other person's reality, so that you kind of know where they're coming from. And
As opposed to making up where they're coming from.
Yeah.
So, yes, all of that's true. The very basis of it is if there are 7.5 perceptions of reality in the world, then everybody's making up their own reality. True?
Yeah.
Huh? And then they see what they want to see. I think that was Megan's words. People can see what they want to see. So when we use the example of, you ever had it where somebody is speaking to you and then say, or you were speaking to them and they go, oh my God, how can you say that to me? And you didn't mean anything by it. You know what your intentions were, but something happened. The meaning on your words and your intention behind them when they left your mouth changed when they went in somebody else's ear. Instantly. There was no time to think about it. They made it mean whatever they made it mean. So that entire interpretation had to already be back there waiting for something to happen. And if it checks enough boxes for them immediately, then they go, this. They assign meaning to what's happening. Yes? So we do that as well. We do that all the time. And in the amount of times that we're doing, especially around crises. Okay, so that's the easy way to say it. Did anybody read that picture that I sent them on the group? You did? Okay, was it confusing when you were able to read it?
Yeah, I just had to break it down.
Just break it down a little bit. Okay, good idea. Is it here? Hang on.
I'll just read it again out loud. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But do it slowly so that people can read it.
So, the world we see reflects our internal frame of reference, the dominant ideas, wishes, and emotions in our minds. So basically, the world we see reflects our internal world in a nutshell, and our beliefs.
Yes.
And how we're brought up and things like
Yes.
that.
The totality of you.
Yeah. Projection makes perception. We look inside first, decide the kind of world we want to see, and then project that world outside.
One sec. So that's what we're expecting. We expect the world to be a particular way, and then we're not surprised when they are that way.
Say it again.
So we have an expectation that, you know, people are going to act a particular way in certain situations. And then we're not surprised is that, so we're just waiting for them to act a particular way. They act, and then I decide what they're doing and why they're doing it. So we're not surprised what they're doing. Doesn't mean that is what they're doing.
Yeah.
That means that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, okay. Where were we? Making it the truth as we see it. We make it true by our interpretations of what it is we are seeing. What perception sees and hears appears to be real because it permits into awareness only what conforms to the wishes of the perceiver. This leads to a world of illusions, a world which needs constant defense precisely because it is not real.
Beautiful. So it's not the easiest thing to really feel that that's what's going on, but to be able to start looking from the filter of that people have their own perception of reality, that they are seeing what they want to see, and then starting to ask questions, starting to question your interpretation by going, oh, when you said X, did you mean, this is what I heard. I heard you say this and this and this, and this is what I think you meant. And then if you've got those social agreements that people aren't going to be weirded out by you asking them what they meant by their words, then, because that can cause its own set of problems, which is interpretive. So being able to start testing your thinking is a beautiful thing.
And it also relates to, people's insecurities, I feel.
Yeah, how does it relate to their insecurities?
Or just like an example, if I said something to a friend and I didn't mean it in like a negative way at all, but they might be insecure about that.
Give me an example of what they could be insecure about.
Like, for example, it looked like you were having such a fun time last night, like you,
Yes.
whatever. And then they get quite, they're quite conscious of how other people see them and how they might behave, and so conscious of their actions.
Yes.
So then, like, for example, my friend would take that negatively and be like,
How?
oh, was I like too much? Was I too, like, out there?
So you give them a compliment, and,
Yeah.
oh, it looks like you were having fun last night, and you're celebrating with them that they actually had that experience. And she decides to interpret it that maybe she was too much, or too loud, or had drank too much, or something like that.
Exactly, yeah.
Beautiful. That is an excellent example. So yes, so then it starts shaping people's reality, and they'd be defensive. Like people, all of us know somebody that doesn't matter what you say to them, they can turn it into something they can defend themselves for. Oh, you look lovely today, or that, that clothing looks really nice on you, or, oh, does it? Are you sure? Yeah. And they can be apologetic about everything. It's really quite amazing. So to look at this, we're going to go to page 46 and page 47. Well, I'll start with page 47, and we're going to use Megan's example. So this is called the ladder of inference. And this is to be able to understand when people are adding meaning, when they are, in this case, changing your words of what you're saying because they're insecure. So if you look at the very bottom step, it says, we observe data and experiences like a videotape. So Megan's speaking to her, she's listening to, there's actions and there's words. So, and what Megan says to her is, the words are, what'd you say?
It looked like you had fun last night.
Yeah, it looks like you had fun last night. And then the very next stage up is add meaning. So what is the meaning that your friend added in this moment?
That she was too much, that she was too loud, that she maybe drank too much, that she was...
Somehow she was being inappropriate.
Yeah.
So you saying, it looked like you had fun last night, the meaning that she added was that that she was being inappropriate in some kind of way, and you were hinting at, oh, it looks like you had fun last night. Somebody might say that and they're judging you. It's all depends on how they say it. So, that might have happened to her before, and maybe she's, and maybe not. Maybe she's just really self-critical. So you can see she added meaning there. Kamishni, are you with me?
What page are you on?
Say again?
Page 47.
What page?
47, page 47, page 46 and 47. You on the right page? Right now we're on page 47. Okay, so the bottom rung on page 47 is that in life, everything is like a videotape. without any meaning added to it. There's just words and actions. Words and actions. We haven't added any meaning. And in this case, Megan's friend, after she said, oh, it looked like you had fun last night, instantly she added the meaning because she, what was the word you used? A little bit,
Too much.
no, but what kind of person is she that she does that?
What do you mean?
Self-conscious?
Yeah, self-conscious.
Yeah, a little bit self-conscious about something. She's afraid that she is a particular way. So instantly she added the meaning. If you're saying to me, oh, looks like you had fun last night, the very first thing that comes up to her mind is that it's very possible that she was too much, that she was inappropriate. So then what we do is that then she can make assumptions. So she can go like, what kind of assumptions could she make? Huh?
That she embarrassed herself.
Right? So she could do that. She embarrassed herself, but we'll even go back one. So once she's already covered that ground, what assumptions could she make about you that you said that to her?
Yeah, like a judgment.
And what kind of person could you be?
That you think you're better than her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, all these things are possible with people, right? So she's even pained to even see herself in that scenario. That's how much she's a kind person. Just imagining that, the horror on her face. Wow. Okay. So what we've got is that we observe data and experiences like a videotape. There's action and there's words. All life comes out as action and words between people. Then people add meaning and you don't know what meaning they're adding. So this is why it's called the ladder of inference. Is to infer is to add meaning. Then we can make assumptions based on that meaning. So some assumptions you could make is that, you know, she drank too much, or that, you know, people are really judging her. She can take that further, that what did other people see? Then she can start reading things that happened in the night that maybe she tries to explain things she didn't understand yesterday with now she understands because she was acting inappropriately, and that's how people were treating her. She can make things up about Megan. Nobody would, but she can make things up about Megan, that Megan's unkind. Megan thinks she's superior. Megan is a judgmental human being. And then we go up the ladder one more. We draw conclusions and beliefs from this. So her friend, Megan's friend, can go, the conclusion I can draw is, oh my God, I'm a bad person. I'm not likable. I'm not, you know, and the conclusions I can draw about Megan is that Megan is really not a kind person. I need to really kind of evaluate my relationship with her. And the conclusion I might come to is that maybe I don't need to be friends with Megan anymore. And then people take action. The top one is, so they go through that entire process, and based on their perception of reality, based on the meaning that they added, and the assumptions and conclusions that they made, they take actions based on that. All of that happens instantly. You don't have to know what's going on with them. They never have to say anything to you. There's a lot of material going on in the back of people's heads. It's exactly like this. So, and then what happens is they take action, and then if their action is, how can you say that to me, or something negative, then we go back to the bottom, and this is now Megan's ladder. So she says, oh, how can you say that to me? And then Megan goes, so she hears it like a videotape, actions and words, and then the meaning that she adds is, oh my God, what does she think about me? Or I didn't mean that, or life is difficult, or this person is difficult, or I'm never going to say my truth again. I can't even compliment people. So I need to be even more careful in life because people misinterpret things all the time. So people are doing this, and I think women do this especially, is that it's really easy to upset a woman about something, and she could dislike you for the rest of your life for something that you said casually. Am I wrong? Huh? Uh-huh. So
we screwed.
No, you're not screwed if you know this.
Yeah.
You're not screwed if you know this, because then you know what you're dealing with. So when people live in constant pain about things they've made up. So when I talk about in the manual, I talk about that there's some really important things. Like on page 17, at the top of the page, there's a really important part about that were about harmony. On this page, on page 47, put a circle around "we add meaning." That there is one of this, within this context, is one of the most important things in this book. When you start realizing you're adding your unique perception of reality everywhere that you go, that you can start seeing that it might not be what other people are saying. It might not be what other people were doing. I had that example last week about Renee, and that I said that, you know, just last week, I've known her for 3 decades, and we just realized how we create misinterpretation with one another just by the words that we're using and the circumstances that we were in. And I was hurt and upset about what she did. And then how I reacted to her, she was hurt and upset because that's not what she was doing. And that we actually had to stay in it and ask a few questions to go, oh, that's what you meant. And then she rudely interrupted, you know, because she'd been listening in the background and scared the Jesus out of me. Oh my God. That was quite something, actually. Okay. So everybody gets the ladder of inference? That when we're adding meaning, this is really powerful. So in your relationships, in your love relationships, men and women are talking past each other all the time. And that if you want to actually, like Alison Armstrong, I can't say enough about this woman. She talks about the misinterpretations that men make about women and women make about men. So she has been studying men for over 30 years. She knows more about men. At one time she was speaking, I think I told you this, and she was talking about men in a way that I'd never thought about this process, this part of me, and she put words to it that were better than what I had ever really thought about myself. So she really knows some things. And one of the things that she talks about, I'll just throw this one out there as an interesting curiosity, is she says that if you want to change a woman, if a woman wants to change a woman, what she does is she criticizes her. She lets her know that she's not happy with a certain set of behaviors. And that's what you do if you want to change a woman. And that if your friend, if you respect her in any kind of way, you'll either kind of pretend like you're doing it a little bit to make her happy, or you'll change a little bit because you respect her to be able to change a little. So one of her examples is that if your friend says to you, if your girlfriend says to you, you don't bring me flowers anymore, the next time you come to that woman's house, the chances are you're going to bring flowers, even if you didn't want to. So that's interesting, because then, you know, is that, how are we doing with that? You guys are women, so.
A woman brings another, I say to my girlfriend, oh, okay. Yeah.
So if you said to your girlfriend, no, if your girlfriend said to you, you don't bring me flowers anymore, the next time you went there, would you bring flowers?
Yeah.
If you respected her, would you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, because we listen to each other.
Right, but it's also women, this is the difference between men and women, it's not just listening, is that you guys are designed to, you know, change for other people if you respect them. If you criticize a man, which there's a lot of women today spending a lot of time criticizing their men, trying to get them to change, it's not working. And they think it's because A, men are either dense, 2, that they don't care, you know, they don't care about you, and 3, that they don't respect you. If they're not listening to you and changing in certain ways, then they don't respect you. So we'll go on the ladder of inference. So if a woman is criticizing a man, and then the meaning she adds when he doesn't respond to it, he doesn't do what she wants. The meaning she can add to that is that he doesn't care. That the assumption can be is that he doesn't respect me. The conclusion, you can men are stupid, and that you just need to beat them enough around the head and neck until they do what you want, which is the action. And then you get back to the bottom, and then the man is in his world, and life is showing up like a videotape. There's actions and words. And what's the meaning that he adds? He's not thinking, oh, well, she's criticizing me, so because I respect her, I'm going to change a little bit. That's not how men operate at all. That is not what they do. And so what Alison Armstrong calls that, she says that women treat men like they're hairy women. and it's probably not going to get you what you want. So she talks a lot about what the different men and women are different and how they perceive things and why they do things and why they don't do what you want them to do. When I tell women, if you can't change a man by criticizing them, the number of times in this course women have gone, so how do you change him?
Yeah, that was my question. How do I get flowers?
How do you change a man? I'll tell you some of the things she talks about. But how you don't really change a man. You make it worth his while to do it. And what's worth his while, one of her examples is that she hates dumping the garbage in the kitchen. Absolutely hates it. Something about it just does not make her feel very good about the person that she is. It's icky. So, and she tells him, if you dump the garbage, it makes me feel like a queen. It makes me feel like I'm the woman of the house and you really care about how I feel. And that when you go and do that, the knock-on effect with me is that I feel taken care of. And I feel good about who I am. And he goes, really? Now, he might not remember, but the more you reinforce that it makes you feel good, men are looking for reasons to make you feel good. They actually are. It's really, we have a breakdown in how we speak to each other and that what we think, how we need to get them, how to get them to do more, be more harmonious with you. So if you're talking about that, how this makes me feel and it makes me feel good, and the more that he can make you feel good, the more that you're going to be your feminine goddess for him, it works in his favor. He'll do it. That's one way. Another way is horse trading. Is you're like, okay, well, I don't really have time in the morning to dump the garbage. And she goes, okay, well, what's worth your while? What can I do for you that if I do that, it's no skin off my nose if I do this, if you're gonna dump the garbage, and then you go, no, I'll gladly dump the garbage. You're gonna do this and this and this for me? Sure, and as long as that's a fair trade for you, then you start building a feeding cycle as a constant criticism and nagging cycle. So he talks a lot about this stuff, and it really is the perceptual differences between men and women, how they're different, and that if you try and interact with each other like you're the same, it's not gonna work. And what is required is learning about your mate and learning about the opposite sex so that you can actually figure out how to make it work for two people, because there's way too many people just complaining out there. How's that sound?
Bryan?
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. So how do you know when you're right or wrong? Because, I mean, I can be in denial and think that Megan is anyway jealous always, so I would have never
They'll never question it.
Reacted or whatever. So I might be in denial or ignorant to the added meaning to that process.
Yeah, it's called being unconscious.
Okay, so how do I know when I'm right?
Well,
or drawing the right conclusion?
You decide that you have to test everything because you don't know when you're right. You actually don't. That's the whole key to this, is you don't know when you're right. So when do you have to test your thinking? Always, especially in crises or conflict. So have I made anything up? What have you made up? You know, it's the easiest way to solve crises or conflict when you both parties go, okay, is there anything I've made up? Is there anything you've made up? And if you go, oh, I made up that when you said this or when you did that and your intention was this, and was that what you were doing? And they go, no, this was my intention. And as long as you believe them, that you have a truthful relationship with each other, then you can go, oh, and that's the easiest way to solve a problem, is that it was a misunderstanding. And then you can forgive each other and give each other, and you go, well, no wonder you thought that, or no wonder you felt like that. And then some people, they do this, they find a misinterpretation and they could heal each other and go, oh, that was a misinterpretation. Some people go, how could you think of me that way? How could you think that I'm that kind of person, that I would do that? Oh my God, who do you think I am? We must not be, compatible if you don't know me that well, etc. As opposed to learning about your misinterpretations and getting better at them, they use that exact material, which is the way out, to go back into the cave. It's fascinating. So what's the meaning you add to it? Oh my God, we just realized a misinterpretation, and the meaning I'm going to add is, you don't really know me. You think I'm I mean, and then the assumption I can make is, oh my, well, maybe we're not, I can't believe you thought that about me. And then the conclusion is that you're a bad human, and maybe you're not good for me, and that you should know who I am, for example.
But actually, that's just the person's own stuff.
Yes.
You know, like
Yes.
I think you're being mean to me, but it's actually my whip or
Yes.
my stuff.
Right.
And it's actually,
Not allowing somebody to have a misinterpretation. And some of those misinterpretations can be quite wild. You can go like, the kind of person that I would have to be for your misinterpretation to work is that I'm manipulative, or that I'm this, or I'm that, or I'm self-focused, or I just care about myself. You could take that personally if you really wanted to. It's not advisable, because then you go back into the cave as opposed to getting out. So then you go, oh, human beings have, there's 7.5 billion perceptions of reality. So I should probably leave some room for that. We're gonna have some misinterpretations.
Like, what do you do if, like, you said you are trying to figure out, like, you're trying to come up with a solution, and that other person just goes, I don't know, and they basically block all, like, there's no moving forward from I don't know, because then if you ask, what do you know, and the person just refers back to I don't know. So then it's like there's a wall and you can't, so what do you do then? Like, you want to figure out what was misinterpreted and everything, and then I don't know.
Well, that one you can't force. That one you can't force a horse to drink water.
Yeah.
So you might not be able to make a but then you can just tell them. Oh, so you can do it from one side. So when you said this, I made it mean that this is what you were saying. Is it? I don't know. Well, how could it be? I don't know. You meant something by your words. So was it this, or was it that, or something that I hadn't even thought of? Yeah. So you can do it from your side, and if they answer those questions and they survive it, if they survive the testing of the thinking or the interrogation, however they choose to add the meaning to it, if they survive it and good things happen, then they might be more interested in doing something about it after the fact. So, just want to see what's written on the bottom of your book. Okay.
Just a FYI, I don't really think you're jealous.
FYI,
I don't really think Megan is jealous. I just used it as a...
yeah. Which one were you jealous on? Something that happened before, or with your girlfriend, or what?
No, she's saying as an example, like.
Yeah. Yeah, but did something happen that relates to?
No.
No, she just made that up randomly? Wow. Okay, good. I don't think she's jealous either. Okay, so what's the use of these things is that if you want to test your thinking, then you know when you're talking to people and all of a sudden they're talking to you, that it doesn't make any sense to you what they're saying, then they've probably added some meaning that has nothing to do with what you're saying. And that should be a cue for you to go, oh, the reason why I said that was this is what I was saying, so I didn't understand your response when you said X, and then they can explain that to you. And then, so you can constantly be testing your thinking, because we don't want to be living in speaking past and living past each other. So.
This is like the allegory of the cave. Sorry.
The philosophy one, Socrates or Plato.
About the one.
Yes.
There's one guy that goes outside and says, oh my word, there's a sun and there's this amazing world. And none of the people in the cave actually believe him.
Yes.
Because he's...
From their perspective and from their point of view, they were in the cave, and all these images that were projected onto the wall were scary, which was even a shadow. It's exactly right. Perfect use. Okay, so now on the left-hand side on page 46, these two things work together. Page 46 and 47 work together. So there's three things that are happening when we are in when we're having a conflict, when we're missing each other, when people are adding meaning, and that when they have enough history. So this is what happens when people argue. It's always these three things. Almost always they're, to varying degrees, all of them are present all of the time. Almost always, if there's a conflict. So we're going to go on the right-hand column. So it says discussion, ego, behaviors at the top of the page. And the very first one is superiority. So if there is a fight, somebody thinks they're right. Superiority. I know the right way. I know the right way the world needs to be. I know the right way our home needs to be. I know the right way our relationship needs to be. I know the right way you need to be as the opposite gender. I know how my office should work. I know how my children should behave. I know how my children should raise their babies. There's a superiority. So holding the definitive perspective, and it's positional. But really the point of it is superiority. On just the basic level, as people are being superior. If there's a conflict, you're not fighting over something that they don't care about. There's something that there's a way that it should be, and they're either trying to avoid something, or they're trying to create something, or there's a way it absolutely needs to be. We're taught in school and in business to be first, best, and right. First, best, and right. You don't walk in and go, geez, I don't know what we should do. The leader doesn't walk in and go, I'm between six minds and I'm thinking a little bit of this and a little bit of that. You don't get respect if you're first, best, and right. So we're, in school, everything is about putting your hand up and being right. You, Johnny, yep, that's the right answer. We are trained from kids to be first, best, and right. And that we hold the first, best, and right, and holding your position as certainty and truth. You're not given power if you don't know for sure. You're given power because you absolutely know. You get into a business situation and everybody is trying to be first, best, and right. We pick our leaders based on those that can convince the group to their way of thinking most often. Those are the ones that get the corner office. And there it's competitive, it's positional, it's my thinking against your thinking. Oh, where's that actually? It's in here. I wanted to do a particular part, but I'll wait for it. So anyways, being superior. And what happens with that is that people live in debate. You're being first, best, and right. I know, I have the superior view. I have my position is certainty and truth. I try to sway the group to my way of thinking. I have fear that the group will unwisely not see the value of what I'm saying and that they'll listen to somebody else. So in a debate, you don't enter a debate to lose. You enter a debate to win. And that in a debate, it's my thinking against your thinking, which means in an organization, the organization's intelligence is in competition with itself, and we choose one-dimensional thinking, one person's thinking generally, to be able to, of what the answers are going to be. Controlling, disallowing, being defensive, diminishing or shutting down other people's thinking, so that is what is different to my own. Yes, we're going to take a bathroom break. What's the time? Anybody? Oh, I might.
It's 2 o'clock.
Yeah,
It's 2:03. We will be back at 2:10. No, it's fun. My goddaughter's there. My goddaughter's there.
It's not the incense.
There's smoke coming off that.
Incense.
I'm not talking in here. Every time I go up by that door, I call.
See, it is cold in there.
So now we're gonna like talk to people, you know.
The other thing is that not everybody would understand if you start.
Thank you.
Let's just maybe.
And you know what? Sorry.
Yeah,
But I also think it's like comes down to just don't take anything personally.
yeah.
Not take anything personally,
Yeah.
which is hard sometimes, but like.
Yeah. Oh no, I'll take everything personally.
That's something. But remember this motivation thing. So and props. So when Rick said that props are like you shouldn't look at props as it's a crutch, it's intelligence. And that just rang in my head. Yes. I'm never gonna do that again.
Good for you. Yeah, there's parts in yoga about how the ego gets involved, and I should be able to do this, and I should be able to do that, and I was able to do this last week. Why can't I do it this week? All of that is that yoga is about harmony. It's about unity. So being able to be in the flow with yourself in this moment at all times, as opposed to I need to be different than I am. I need to be in a different place. I need to be more.
And in that respect, I wasn't.
But you are now. Beautiful. Okay, so back to this projection stuff. So that we do live in 7.5. I just reiterate the important parts to bring the context back up. That we do, we live in different perceptions of reality that keep us separate from other people. And when we're in conflict, those separations are problems. And that people are feeling separate from one another, they're holding anger and upset. And it's amazing the amount of times that I've worked with people, and it turned out that it was misinterpretation was a very large part of it. And the pain that was caused by the misinterpretation. And then the words that were exchanged because of those misinterpretations, the knock-ons. And it can get, you know, once people get hurt, there's negative things that can come out of their mouth and all kinds of assumptions and conclusions that they can make that make them angry people. And they, one of them is just one last one about that is that people will argue about that I saw something happen and this is my reality of it, and you saw something different, and that people don't accept that there's two different realities. If you never actually take it on that's what happened for me, that's the reality, then I can never be free of it. If you go, no, that's not what happened, this is what happened, and then there's an argument about what happened, as opposed to that happened for you and it was absolutely real and true for you, and this is what happened for me and it was absolutely real and true for me. And then we can start, okay, then we can start dealing with misinterpretations, as opposed to, no, it didn't. That didn't happen because that wasn't my intention. So you can't say that happened because it didn't. For example, that causes so much pain. So this is what the entire point of this is, to live in harmony with yourself and to live in harmony with others. So then we went on page 46 and we started to look at, there's 3 elements that keep happening in every conflict. Superiority is one of them, that people think that they're right. The second one is that people make inferences. So your ladder of inferences on the right, and that little circle about adding meaning. To infer means to add meaning, to infer meaning. So the second one is inference. People are constantly adding their own meanings to what's going on. What something means. If we don't do this, they will fight for a strategy, but you never really get to that if we don't do this, here's all the bad things that are going to happen. So people make inferences. If we don't understand the other person's inner reality, and we only have our own version of their inner reality, then at the end of the day, we're only interacting with ourselves. That's speaking past each other. When we start deciding who people are and what they're doing and why they're doing it, and if it's not true and you don't test it, especially if it's not true, you're only interacting with yourself. It happens more times than you would probably believe.
So that's also when somebody's always assuming they know what you're thinking.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Yeah, because that's very irritating.
Especially when they're wrong.
Yeah.
It's annoying when they're right. Can be annoying when they're right, depending what they're doing with it.
Yeah, but then how do you deal with it?
See, but we're not changing the world. This is you, this is your transformation. So this is you not interacting with fairy tales. That's virtually what this is for. You can see the places that you're adding meaning that isn't there. And you'll be much safer if you actually deal with how the world is than how the world isn't, especially if it's negative. Then this part two is, if there's people in your life that you love and that you can show them this kind of material and say, okay, I don't want to do this. I actually want to talk about our things, like when we're fighting or I'm upsetting you or you're upsetting me, I want to look to see if one of us is adding meaning. Is that okay? Can we do that? Do you agree to that? Oh, you do. Okay. So then you just might have to remind each other in the moment that you're just checking to see if there's any misinterpretations. So every conflict, at least one person is being superior, and usually it's everybody, that there's inferences have been made by everybody, and then there's judgments. People are judging. There's lots of opportunity if people are being superior, and that if they're inferring things about you and about situations and being superior as in demanding about how they want it, then, and also being in debate is, debating is to win, then there's lots of room for judgments. They're this kind of person, they behave like this, they only care about themselves. There's a ton of them. No one sees themselves as attacking others. They see themselves as protecting or defending what is right or best for all. And other people are just being difficult or unkind or unevolved or etc. So every conflict you're in, those three things are happening. Superiority, I know the right way something needs to be. Making inferences that we've made something up that's not true, or that we say this is the way the world is, or this is the way it needs to be for everybody, for example. And then judgments when people aren't playing along. So this sets up debate. All of this sets up our reality about how human beings interact together. And the reason why I keep bringing up debate is, in debate, people are superior. In debate, people have made inferences and they're making judgments. People don't enter debate to lose. So the Greek roots to the word debate literally means to beat down. That's what debate means. So what are you beating down? You're beating down your opposition's opinions, ideas. Whatever's contrary to what you think it needs to be is you're beating their thinking down, their solutions, their suggestions, their strategies. And everything gets in the debate, everything gets presented as a strategy. Not the reasons, not what it's creating, not what it's avoiding. I'll give you an example of that is, I was working with some partners and principals of a very large accounting firm in Vancouver, one of the big four. It was big five at the time. And they had a particular topic that they hadn't talked about in years, because all they did was fight. Because there was everybody, the superior part was everybody had a very strong idea of what should happen. Not everybody, but almost everybody had a strong opinion. The inferences that they were making was that it had to be like this, or else it was going to fail and not work. And what they argued about was strategy. Here's the strategy that we need to do. And somebody else would go, well, we can't do that strategy because that doesn't take care of this end result. And they would keep talking, they keep going around the room with whoever had the best strategy, and that it wouldn't work for somebody else. And it got so heated that they wouldn't even talk about it anymore. And they just did like a mixed bag of behaviors and strategies. It didn't work really well, but it was better than fighting. So they didn't talk about it. And in about 3 hours, what we did is we went, okay, forget about your strategies and the debates that you're having about who has the right strategy. And then tell me, each one of you, tell me with your strategies, what are you trying to create and what are you trying to avoid? And everybody put their strategies down that they'd been fighting about for years. And then we extrapolated from that, what is this strategy supposed to create? What are the top 3 things? And what is it trying to avoid? Or what does it very nicely avoid? And everybody did that. And on one side of the board, we had all the things that they were trying to create and all the things they were trying to avoid. And then we went, now let's create a strategy that incorporates as many of these as possible. And they were able to create a strategy that they were all happy with, that took care of the majority of the things they were all trying to create and avoided the majority of the things they were trying to avoid, and they didn't have to fight about it. They all agreed. So that's how nasty it gets, is because we're fighting about strategies. We're not even looking at what it's trying to accomplish and what it's trying to avoid. So I taught these people, I gave them a fish. I didn't teach them how to fish. So what they needed to learn is what's on page 46 and 47. So I knew how to do that. I could bring the group to clarity. I could bring them to understanding, but that group never actually got to a place where they were able to apply this on their own. And I worked with them for about 2 years. And the problem with partners and principals is that they could meet about every 6 weeks. So there wasn't, can you imagine if we did this course and we had this talk, and then 6 weeks from now we picked it up again? You could see how very little would be adopted. Okay. So I'm just going to read this part. Could you just turn around? Just one second. So that's the only thing that's on there. Okay. On page 47, there's a quote by Viktor Frankl: between stimulus and response. So on the ladder of inference, the bottom rung and the top one. Between stimulus, the action in the words, and the response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. So there's a space, and in transformation, you make that space for yourself. You want to respond to things as opposed to react to things. You want to look at what it is that you're actually seeing and feeling to see if you're making something up, to see if you're projecting something. So between stimulus and response, there's a space. So you want to create a space for yourself, especially if there's a knee-jerk reaction that's negative. Then you want to check that and then go, okay, so am I making anything up? Is there a way to do this easy? Do I really need to have a negative response here, like raise my voice, express judgment? Do I need to do that? Or can I do something different? There's a story of a Buddhist master that they asked him was, what was the greatest thing that you were actually able to achieve? And he thought for a long time. And after a significantly long time, what he said was that he was able to make an appropriate response. That was his biggest gift in his life, is he was able to make an appropriate response to life. So that's really good. It doesn't sound like much, but this is the things he was watching. He was able to watch to see all the negative things that could happen, whether he needed to react and be upset, whether he was making things up about people's words and adding meaning. and then being able to respond back in a way that was bringing the best response from other people. Like in that case, there's something I could work on. I feel what I'm feeling in any given moment. I express it immediately. If I'm annoyed, I express my annoyance. I don't carry anything around, but it can also, for the people around me, it can be a little jolting for them because they don't operate that way. My entire family does. I was taught, you say what's on your mind when you feel it. You don't hide what you're feeling. There's no need to. And then you make it work. You get your response out, and once your annoyance is over, then you talk about how you're going to deal with that. Sometimes people state an annoyance, but most of the time not. And for people that weren't raised like that, I can be a little bit much. So me being able to, if I have a reaction that's angry, annoyed, where I'm taking a tone, that I've noticed with Renee, it's probably a really good idea to soften that. If I can soften it before I say it, or soften it directly after, it generally makes her feel a lot better. Okay. Any thoughts about that?
What happens if somebody says something, but there is a meaning behind it?
Yes.
Like just say, I want to be mean.
Yes.
So I won't take Megan and her example. I want to be mean to my friend, and I'll say to her, oh, it looks like you had fun last night.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, oh, you were like a drunk cow.
You're being sarcastic.
I was being like,
Yeah.
I actually want to.
I'm one-downing you, but pretending like I'm not.
Yeah.
Yes, that's an excellent question. When you ask people, I'm just noticing the font on this. When you're asking people, like, what did you mean by that? And they said, oh, I didn't mean anything by that, because those people lie. If you ask them directly if they want you to feel like you are, what kind of cow? What did you say?
A drunk cow
Drunk
or
cow.
something.
I'm expressing to you, I actually saw you as a drunken cow, and I think you were behaving badly. And people do that. And that then when you start asking people about when you're testing your thinking and going, okay, is this what you were thinking, or is this what was going on there? Somebody who's actually thinking that, you're not going to probably be able to create the social agreements to test your thinking, number one. Number two, if they do let you ask questions, it doesn't add up. You can say, oh, like somebody who keeps saying things like that has a history of it or a pattern of it and will continue doing it. So then you ask them, you just ask them a couple more questions about, if that's why you did what you did, and they're saying, oh no, I did this for this reason. Then 2 or 3 more questions can come up about that. And then they'll answer those. And you can have 2 or 3 more questions about that. And at some point, it starts not holding water. You can tell that they're actually making it up as they go along. Somebody who's telling you the truth and holds water from beginning to end, and every time you talk to them, that's your experience of them. And that's the way I check to see if somebody's lying to me or not. It's really easy to figure it out if you ask a few questions. And then this is generally people that are going to be closer to you, so that you can hopefully have that they care about you, and they're going to want to have a harmonious relationship with you. And who wants to have somebody in their life that wants to tear you down and pretend like they're not? What's going on in their life? What do they believe? Because when we talk about, I'm going to talk about it. When people have a hole in the middle of them and they don't think they're good enough, and they compare themselves to other people so that they can try and have a semblance of what their worth is. When they're feeling not good enough, if they see somebody else, then they're going to remind them that they're not good enough and that they are somehow not as superior as I am. And they're actually just trying to make themselves feel good by having somebody else feel lesser than. So I don't really need to get involved in that. And if I know that that's what they're up to, I can also reflect that to them as well.
Because I suppose a true friend would say, or an honest friend, like,
yes.
Oh, listen, I heard a story about you last night.
Yes.
And
I'm not judging you.
Yeah.
I'm not judging you, but when you got on the stage and you were just having fun, but you were lifting your dress up a little higher than you probably wanted to. and the attention that you were getting from some of the people is probably not the attention that you want to be getting. So I'm a friend trying to protect you from that. There's some reputation, bad energy that you're creating, you know, some ways that people are going to think or treat you. So yes, and all of that can be done from kindness. I want the best for you. And I've actually seen that happen. So, exactly. So you're right. So you do need to be careful of the people that are pretend like they're just giving you information, but really they're judging you, and they're pretending like they're not. And you probably don't want to be too close to those people anyway. Okay, so that is superiority, making inferences, and making judgments. All three of those things are happening in an argument, so that's how you want to let yourself out, is that you go, I don't know the superior way. I don't know the right way for everybody to do everything. So if I give up my superiority, means, well, I can make this work for two people, and you know, how can we do this? How can we actually make that work? And if it's, I don't know the right way. I know the right way for me. If you're going to do what you're doing, here's the consequences of how it makes me feel. Then are you willing to do that? So I don't want to be around you. When you drink rum, I don't want to be around you because you act a particular way that doesn't make me happy and you smell funny. So the consequence, if you're going to drink rum, is that I'm going to not be around. I'll be over here doing something else. Are you fine with that? Yes, I am. Okay. And that might be the agreement, is that. Instead of being superior in that you need to stop drinking rum. Maybe not. Maybe I just don't need to be around you. Anybody in TV land have any questions? No? Okay. Everybody's still there? Have we lost somebody?
No one sees themselves as attacking others. They
I am here.
Hello, I see you.
protecting or defending.
So what are you reading?
Just from which perspective is this coming from? No
Okay.
one sees. Did we do this?
Yeah,
Yes, we
no,
did.
I only talked about it briefly.
Okay.
So no one sees themselves as attacking others. Everybody sees them, like when we have an issue and that somebody's behaving badly, we think justice is being served. When we're being judgmental, we think justice is being served and this is the right way it should be and I'm righteous in what I'm doing. And then when somebody's judging you, it never feels like righteousness is being served or that it's just in some way. Always feels a little bit heavy-handed. It just depends who's doing the judging. Using judgment as a weapon or a defense of one's own authority. So people do that. And kind of like your example of what a non-friend would do. Holding grievances and making others wrong. So I'm carrying weight, you behave a particular way, and I'm carrying judgment, I'm carrying upset, I'm carrying that you need to be different. So, and making others wrong. So in transformation, we don't need to be superior. We know we can make the world work for everybody. I don't have to, and that there's a way to make it work for everybody. In transformation, we want to be clear of the inferences we're making because we don't want to be adding meaning about people that isn't there. Then I'm just interacting with myself and it's negative. Why would we want to do that? And why we don't want other people doing that? So there's even bringing people into the conspiracy of transformation is that you agree to look to see if you're making things up. And then making judgments is making judgments of yourself and making judgments of others I'll go to the Buddhist saying, judging other people is like drinking poison yourself, trying to hurt them. So judgments is never helping. It never makes you feel good. No judgments make you feel good, but we do sometimes feel righteous and that justice is being served. But you have to remember when somebody else is judging you, it never feels righteous. It never feels like justice is being served. There's definitely a different experience. Every argument has those three elements in it, and you can turn those things around with those three elements. So how you do that, what the antidote is on the left-hand side of the page is we have the dialogue behaviors. So the dialogue behaviors in the broad strokes, instead of superiority, you be peership. My partner in life, the person I'm married to, is my peer. I don't have a superior view to them about how everything needs to be, including them. Is that we're a peer in this. We both have perceptions of reality and ways of doing things and that we're going to honor both of them.
What's FBR? Being if
Giving up being first, best, and right.
Okay, sorry.
Well spotted. That's not obvious at first glance.
Because I was wondering about it earlier,
And you worked
said
it out.
Yeah. Made a connection.
So on the peership side is inquiring into the exploration of meaning, giving up being first, best, and right. First, best, and right means you already know, not learning any new information. These are called learning relationships, learning conversations. Transformation is about learning, not your top of mind projections, and then running with them like they're true and real. People check very little material to find out if what they're feeling and thinking is actually what's going on. We're so convinced, because it feels right to us, it must be what's happening. So the antidote to superiority is peership. You're in inquiry, you're asking questions. So what is your take on the world? How do you see this? How do you see it unfolding? What is your strategy? What are you trying to create? What are you trying to avoid? What meanings have you added? You know, when we both use the same word of aggressive, what do you mean by aggressive? Oh, how, when, how, what, and this is what it looks like to me. Most of our words are labels that everybody has very different interpretations of what they mean. Posing questions and responding with statements or experiences as propositions. So I'm no longer superior, no the superior view. I know I just have a part. I have a piece to the puzzle, whether it's 2 people or 10. And I'll put my part out there, and then we can explore all of it and make good decisions for all of us about what we want to create. Because if I can get everything I want and you can get everything you want too, then I don't have to fight for anything. We spend so much time just automatically debating. People don't realize that, well, you can get what you want and they can get what they want. Really? That's not my experience. You're right, that isn't your experience, because what you do is debate one against the other, as opposed to, what do you want out of this and what do I want out of this? And how do we meet in the middle? Conversations take a lot longer, but
So it's compromise.
it can be compromise, yes. But it can also be, it can be compromised, but it can also be that they're not even related. We did a group workshop, and that the essence of it was that there was people that are going to die in the world, and there was the young people were all going to die and the old people were all going to die, or either or. And there was this fruit that actually could help the young people or help the old people. And they would get into a debate about which was more important. Instead of reading inside of the material and they would debate for hours about who was right about that. And they'd be taking positions like people do in debates. Well, the old people are more important for this. Well, the young people are more important for this. And what was actually in the very first line is each one had a different first line. The old people needed the seeds to be able to make something, to be able to heal them. And the young people, it was the skin. And that so both people could actually win, but nobody knew it. It was completely possible. It was in the first line, and everybody's, but no, everybody read everything else, figured out a debate, and then started having a debate about what action they were going to take.
Wow.
So that you'd be surprised how often that everybody can win. We just go directly to, because we're the masters of lack, people instantly go, if you're not saying what I'm saying, then it's against what I'm saying, and I'm going to lose. It's automated. It's automatic. So then the antidote is peership, is that everybody's equal, everybody has something to offer, and we can make this work for everybody. If we start having conversations which are dialogues and inquiries to solve the problem for everybody, there's a lot of Aboriginals that are doing those kinds of things, that they will get together and there'll be a problem in the community. And it's a big enough problem, the entire community will meet. And you can come if you want to, you don't have to come, but if it's important, people will come. And it starts at a particular time, and everybody shows up, and maybe the old people might speak a little bit longer than the young people, but like the little kids, they'll be going, okay, this is a problem about, you know, how we're gathering water, and how does it affect you? And, you know, the 3-year-old would say, well, it affects me in this way, and they get to speak, and everybody would take that into account, and everything everybody else had to say. And they would talk about it, and when you were satisfied with the conversation, you left the group. And that it was interesting that everybody listened to how what the problem was affecting everybody. And because you talked about it as an inquiry about how it was affecting everybody, everybody knew how to act the next day. Because they knew, well, this, you know, I'm going to do this differently and I'm going to do that differently for other people. And there might have been a committee or somebody that took, you know, decisions based on what they heard. And then you could get together again about that if it wasn't working for everybody. But it was really interesting that people just had the information of what other people were saying. They could change their actions because they knew how many people would impact. And if it was no skin off my nose to do 2 or 3 things different, they were happy to do so. And if other people were happy to do that for you, all of a sudden you have a community that's working together. We have so little experience of that. We have an experience of that. If you're not agreeing with my strategy this instant, then we are on opposite ends of what needs to happen, and you are now my enemy in a debate to beat down. And people and debates become personal. Debates become heated. Then it's no longer about the material or the debate. Now it's like, now I'm making assumptions and conclusions about that person. You don't listen, you just think about your own ways, you're only taking care of yourself, you have silly thoughts about what it is that you're trying to create, and all it does is create pain for people. The second one is, the second antidote to making inferences is cleaning your perceptions, which means you want to be testing your thinking. You constantly want to be going, have I made something up here? So to become good at cleaning perceptions, you'd have to believe there can be a discrepancy between what I believe to be true and what is true. When? Always. You can't check everything. So you got to pick your spots. But I have a habit of, in casual conversation, to things that don't mean anything, like they're not important, they're innocuous conversations, I'll ask B, for example, oh, when you said this, is this what you meant? And she goes, no, that's not what I was thinking at all. And I never would have asked it under normal circumstances. And it doesn't change anything about how we move forward. It's just that I had a very different idea of what she was actually saying. And that reminds me of how often I'm making stuff up all the time. Renee will say to me, ha, like I'll test my thinking, and she'll go, you made an inference, you made an interpretation. And because she's heard me for years and years, and I go, you're right. You're not going to stop making interpretations, you're going to make them all the time. The trick is to catch yourself doing it. So cleaning your perceptions, testing your thinking with the ladder of inference, ask, when you said X, did you mean this? Check whether you're holding a position, a certainty of how things are or need to be. Display your thinking and rationale completely and openly, not as a challenge, but as an exploration. But you have to be with somebody that's not trying to win. If you keep telling everybody everything that you think and where you are and what's going on with you, and they're just using that information in a debate to win, that's going to be annoying. So you can't use learning conversation technology with people that are debating with you. It's kind of a waste of time and energy, and you undermine yourself. And then lastly, in regards to making judgments, the antidote is to spin judgments. In transformation, you don't want to be judging yourself. Judgment is not drinking poison, trying to hurt other people. And if you're judging yourself, you're just drinking poison. So suspending judgment in the transformational concept is that it's not helping you, ever. So being able to allow people to be who they are, that person just doesn't know any better. They don't know any better. If they knew better, they would do better. There's all kinds of people doing all kinds of things that you look at them and you go, gosh, that is just really not very smart. If you knew better, your life would be a lot easier. You're looking at a lot of people thinking that. Now remember, there's a lot of people looking at you thinking exactly the same thing. So we're both ends of that scale, and you don't know when that is, but you want to learn. The whole idea is to be learning. These 2 pages are beautiful for conflict. They're beautiful for if you're coming from a position of lack and you want to catch yourself. That's what that whole thing was about, patterns of things that you're doing that are that you're perceiving things that are negative, that you want to be able to see them, and then this is the reason why. This is what we want to be filtering those thought processes through. If I keep creating the same mistake over and over, what am I adding? What is the meaning that I'm adding? What is it that I believe? And is it actually true? Because I keep creating negative results in my life that I don't want, for example. So this model is good for all of those things. Marianne? Oh, I thought you had a question. No? Okay. Any of y'all in the room? Any questions?
No.
Okay. So you're going to use this tomorrow? Are all of you applying this for the rest of your life? Okay.
Trying to.
Okay. So.
That thing that you said, because that was going to be a question, when you said that it doesn't help if you're on this side of the page.
Yes.
And you're trying to work from this side.
Yes.
But you're talking to someone that is in the debate side.
Yes.
It's wasted time.
Well, it's not wasted for you as you don't necessarily have to debate. Like if you need to win, if you're going to work and you want to have.
It's not winning.
No, but at work it's winning. If anytime you're in a debate, it's about winning.
Yes, but yeah.
But if it's in relationship, then it's not about winning. No.
So then, like, it's two different people on two different sides of this line.
Yes.
And it's just not going to go anywhere.
Well, what you can do is if you don't have the social agreements that they have a learning conversation and they give up their superiority, they check for their inferences and they stop judging you and themselves. If you can't make those agreements, then what you can do is that you can do it and then you're not judging them and that you're taking it down from your side. You're going, okay, when you said this, I heard that I need to be different or I'm not good enough or you want things your way. That's what I heard. Is that what you're saying? And if they say something different, then you're already released yourself from that. And then you can interact with what they actually are saying. And if you keep doing that, you can do it from one side.
Okay.
It's possible to do it from one side.
So it can also be like a feeling, like when you said X, it made me feel like this.
Right.
How did you mean that?
Right.
Okay.
So, and it would be like, this is how it made me feel. So either that's just, if you said those words, that's how it makes me feel, and that's my trigger, or were you trying to make me feel that? Were you trying to trigger me? So.
And then what did you mean? Or how did you mean it?
Yeah. And then you can deal with exactly where they are. You can act appropriately. Okay. Let's see what our time is. Oh, it's gonna take a couple more minutes. So, we were talking about, so I want you to read this one again. Okay. So we're gonna do this again just to be in this context so that we can take a look at what the Course in Miracles is actually saying. This is the very detailed understanding.
The world we see reflects our internal frame of reference, the dominant ideas, wishes, and emotions in our minds. Projection makes perception. We look inside first, decide the kind of world we want to see, and then project that world outside, making it the truth as we see it. We make it true by our interpretations of what it is we are seeing. What perception sees and hears appears to be real because it permits into awareness only what conforms to the wishes of the perceiver. This leads to a world of illusions, a world which needs constant defense precisely because it is not real.
Beautiful. So everybody down with that? It might not be in your transformational journey. This might not be the place that you're in. You might not be adopting that this week, maybe small parts of it. This is where the world is currently now. This is the most important concept for where our world is. People don't know how to listen to each other. People are making up, there's all kinds of meaning that's being added on purpose, especially in the US, and there's very positional ideas. People are adding things that aren't there and subtracting things that are there. So the reality is being formulated where there's at least two very distinct camps, and that our ability to go have a learning conversation and going, oh, when you said this, what did you mean? Nobody's searching for the truth. Nobody's trying to find out what happened. Everybody's trying to take the information of what's going on, and fortify their own position. There's no truth that's going on there. We have a hard time doing this, being a peer, cleaning our perceptions, and suspending our judgments at the best of times. When it's in the middle of a riot, that's not the best place to, or in a country that's divided, a world that's divided. We don't know how to do this, and this is precisely what it's going to take to go, well, why do you believe that? Why? And it has to come from a calm place of really wanting to learn for them to go, oh, well, why do you believe this? Well, here's my information. Everybody's operating from information that makes sense. Maybe not all of it's true. And how are we going to find out that it's true? Well, there's a whole process. That's what this is about also getting clarity for yourself. You apply exactly this to your own transformational journey. Am I adding any meanings? What are my perceptions? Is it negative? Okay, why do I keep adding negative meaning? Why do I keep doing that? So you start reeling in your own perception of reality because you're starting to challenge and question your perceptions of reality. This masters of lack conversation, negative bias in our head that has us living at a lower frequency isn't maybe the life we want to live. So this is a very good model for your personal journey as well. So it works on the individual, it works for couples, it works for organizations, and it will work for a world. And all of it is designed about making it work for everybody. It will not work for everybody until we have this conversation. So, and I've been talking about this model for about 30 years. So, and it's human beings learning crises. Maybe we're creating enough of a crisis that we'll be sick and tired of being sick and tired of the consequences that we've created. And then maybe we'll adopt some of these things. Okay. And what did we do last week? Last week we just talked about that sometimes the baby version of it is you say something to somebody and they go, how can you say that to me? So these inferences are being made all the time. Now you know why. And now you can do something about it if you want to get on the same page with somebody. If it's not worth the efforts to go through all this because you don't know that person very well, at least you'll know what's going on from their side and that maybe you can diffuse the situation as opposed to take it personal and be wondering why they're behaving oddly. Okay. Is there anything else on that page that's written on page 27, 47? Okay, that's it. All right, it also says on there, the ladder of inference is from Dr. Chris Argyris, is where that came from. And that's a Harvard model that is about dialogue, is about learning conversations. So he did the science of it. David Bohm is a physicist, and he created the Little Blue Book on Dialogue, which is the art to dialogue. It's an art form and it's a science. Both of them are quite beautiful. And in quantum physics, they absolutely have to use a model of dialogue. When they were splitting the atom in the 1940s, in England, it was at Cavendish was the name of the laboratories, and Rutherford was the senior physicist. They had 10 Nobel Prize winners in their department, and that was at a time when you'd be lucky if you had one in your country. And Einstein was one of those people in that group. And what he talked about was that he said, we don't have time to discuss your successes. It's too complicated. We could spend all day talking about what's working. The only thing they were allowed to talk about when they got into meetings was what wasn't working. So there was no ego involved. There was no, look at what I did. There was no, let's look at what's working. They could only discuss what the body of work was so huge, they could only had time to discuss what wasn't working. So this model has worked. It's been available since the 40s. And, that's almost 100 years ago. So 80 years ago. Okay, let's check the time. Give you all. Yeah, we'll take another break until 3 what? 3:05. Megan says 3:05.
10 minutes.
So we'll start in 10 minutes.
Summary and flowy.
She does. Okay, and Megan's going to remind me to turn the recording down. Good job, Megan. Okay, so who are we missing? Mariki. Everybody else is online. And Mia. And there she is.
Another coffee.
Yay. Okay, so hopefully everybody's back, even if they are edited. Oh, Kamishni has a coffee or a tea, probably tea. Marcia, you still there? Marcia? Aha! Well, if she listens to the audio, she'll be surprised. Okay, so in wrapping up this part of, this is a real important part. There's a lot to be learned and a lot to be gained. You know, most of our pain is caused in separation and conflict. When we stop, there's a book called Keeping the Love You Find, and dialogue, a learning conversation, is at the heart of that. That's where that quote comes from, that if you don't understand someone else's inner world, you only have your version of it, then at the end of the day, you're only interacting with yourself. So it's good for relationships. It's good for your journey to see to test your thinking, to see if you're adding meaning or perceptions in places that is inappropriate. It's not happening. Okay. Any, yeah?
By any chance, do you know that book, An Autobiography of a Yogi?
By Yogi Andra? Which one? Who's it
Yeah,
by?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the same one that you said.
So what in that book reminded you of this?
No, you were just talking about, that came up because I just got that book as a gift.
Uh-huh.
I
Anything
got that book
specific?
as a gift this week. Because when I first started yoga all those years ago, I borrowed it from the library and I just read 1 or 2 chapters, but I didn't complete it. But
Yes.
last I got it as a birthday gift. Yeah. My father-in-law gave me that.
I missed the end of what she just said there.
I think she got it for her daughter.
Yeah.
I think she's just generally saying that she got the book.
Okay. That's what I got. I got it. You broke up a little bit. We conferred.
Okay.
Thank you, Kamisi. All right. So, somebody sum this up? Page 46 and 47, you've got 3 sentences. I think it's going to be, she just cringed, yeah. Mariki wins the award. So can you, how would you, in 3 sentences, describe what we just learned?
I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's possible.
What's not possible?
To do it
in
3 sentences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the overall arching understanding?
Well, my taking on it is that there should be a balance. So, yeah, basically there needs to be a balance between these 2 sides. So you can't be either or.
Okay.
You need to make it, yeah.
Okay, so in regards to making inferences, adding meaning, projection, what's valuable about that? What's valuable about knowing about those things?
Well, I think step 1 for me there is, well, what I struggle with is to allow myself the time to actually think about something or allowing to settle into the inference. So noticing that and then responding in a positive and healthy way that is beneficial for yourself and the other party.
Yes, beautiful. Now you just told on yourself a little bit. So are you one of these people that is always in action, always doing things and maybe avoiding some feelings from time to time?
All the time, yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of Pilates people that do that, by the way, just saying. So that's it seems to attract Pilates people. Be in action, be in action, be in action, be exhausted, sleep. Wake up the next day, do it all over again. Is that about right?
Exactly.
Know anybody like that? Anybody else? Anybody else like that? Oh, there's more. There's red faces right across the room in here. No, you're in the right place. You're in the right place. Beautiful. Okay. So allowing yourself, and that might be the first step for this, is allowing yourself to feel and feel more and being able to feel your feelings with successfully. Like if you're adding meaning to what it means, especially if you're judging yourself, you're not going to look at it. And in yogic terms, it's illusionary. Any self-judgment is illusionary. It's Maya. So if you can find the lies, then you can release yourself from the things you don't want to feel. We're not very successful in processing our feelings if we're judging ourselves, and then if you judge yourself, nobody wants to feel judged, so they hide the feeling. And then all that stuff comes tumbling out of the closet at very inopportune times. All these different feelings start coming out, and you have to process them when you don't want to be. And they're also not relevant to this moment. They're just hangover feelings. Okay? Anybody else? Let's see, I'll ask a specific question. So on page 46, Anka, what is more or less the benefit to, what can we learn in one sentence on page 46?
To rather have learning conversations than ego-based conversations.
Yes, beautiful. So then we're inquiring, we're looking, we're not trying to win, we're trying to make it work for two people or whoever, how many people are involved. It's not about position or debate. Yeah, that's an ego-based winning. It's winning, it's learning conversations versus winning conversations. Everything on the right-hand side is about winning. A debate is about winning. And in a debate, how many winners are there in debate? One or less. And then everybody else is a loser. And then when other people feel like they've lost and that they're judging you and you somehow made them look bad, for example, or made their ideas look bad, then you can become a target. And now they're going to even the score at some later date. So it doesn't make for a happy world. Watching all these people going inside of our office and out again. I don't know who these people are. Okay. Yes, so Ren and Bianca, about the lady who taught the class this morning. I now know who that is. I know who the lady is. And we've talked about it before, but we've never had her come in. I don't think she's taught here before. But Ren said she's lovely, and all you guys say that she was lovely.
Oh no, she's so divine, yeah.
So you guys in the class this morning at 8:30, I think her name is Leanne. How great was she?
She was very good. I've practiced with Leanne before.
Yes. Is she in the Shangi?
Yeah, I think
Yeah, she kind of.
all-rounder.
Yeah.
Apparently she does Ashtanga and Bikram and Yin and
Sup yoga.
yeah. Okay, beautiful. Well, it's good to know about that, about her. Okay, so we will come back to perceptions. When we were talking about triggers and how important triggers are in your life, this is how our triggers get created. This is what's going on as we're adding meaning. So you can reel back your triggers by figuring out what you're reacting to and then test whether it's actually happening. And also look for if there's a different response.
And I was just trying to think of an example.
Of what?
Yeah, like of a.
Okay, so what annoys you in life? Think of girls or boys and something that they do that always annoys you. I have a trigger. Yeah. I can't think of one. I'm triggered when somebody shames people. When anybody shames somebody else, not only have you done a bad behavior, like I'm superior, that I think I know what you should have done, but now you need to feel bad about that you did it. So now you need to feel shame. It's actually trying to shame people. I find that repugnant, and I'm very reactive to it. And I can be really reactive in the sense of lashing out, or I can actually, still not think it's a very kind thing, but I can maybe say something that's a little bit more introspective. For example, how about you? Triggers?
Like when people underestimate me.
Yes.
Yeah.
That happens all the time. First of all, they think you're 14, right? Right? They think you're young, and then they...
I'm quiet, but...
And you're always smiling, so they always think that you're placating, as opposed to... Yeah, I had that all my life as well. Being short and being young looking definitely encourages people to, what's the word? No, just
belittle, but not belittle.
Underestimate.
Yeah.
Underestimate.
Take you seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, underestimate. And then not taking you seriously and belittling is worse on the same. So yeah, I had that as well. Not so much anymore. It's a good thing. A little bit of gray helps.
It's coming.
And
Proud of you.
She's proud of her gray. Proud of her gray. Okay. Any other questions? Feelings, emotions, thoughts? So we're looking at practices. Look at if there's anything in there that you'd like to change about your life, that this will help you do so. And start adopting practices. I would suggest that you try be a peer. Try not to be superior in any way in your life. Constantly be testing your thinking for inferences and suspending your judgments. Those things will do you a great service in your transformational journey. So any one of those or all three of them, or intermittently, you can change from one to another. How many sessions do we have left in yogic philosophy? Anybody?
We've got 2 next week.
Yes?
And then I think we got another weekend of it.
So 2 next week. So 2 or 3 more.
So we got Wednesday.
Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday.
We have a Thursday?
And then another Wednesday. Yeah.
Show me a Thursday. Oh, geez, it's right there.
And the last Saturday is 5.
The 23rd and the last Saturday. Yeah, we got lots of sessions left. Okay.
And then it's like October.
Yeah, well.
What a year.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that conversation today. I'm not going to do that one. Okay, so what we're going to do, usually I do this as homework, but we'll do it live because it's about the only piece of thing that we can do with our time left. Okay, so get out, forget about pages, get out your pen and your paper. And so here's the mythology as it was told to me, is that there was a time in yogic philosophy where the masters were looking at the written words like the Bhagavad Gita, the Patanjali's sutras is virtually a very concise and short sentences of the lessons in the Bhagavad Gita. So they made it as short as possible. And so that it was just specifically about learning the lessons. So there was a time when they were looking at everything that was written, and if you could capture the totality of what you were trying to talk about in fewer words, if you could go from 10 words to 9, then they did it. As long as it held the same power and you could do it in less words that you could. So your your exercise for today is that figuring out 3 words that yoga, the totality of yoga is for you. So there's the inner work, there's meditation, there's focus, there's asana, there's projection, there's being aligned with yourself, there's your inner world, there's being connected to all that is, there's yoga nidra, there's yin. So all of these parts, if you're going to describe the totality of yoga in 3 words, 3 separate words, not a sentence, 3 separate words, what would those 3 words be? Excuse me. So what is yoga? The totality of yoga in 3 words. No, any order. Have a few more minutes. Take your time. But I will be asking you what your 3 words are.
Are we going to have to explain our
Well, maybe a little. I don't think it should be too.
I think it's very
Yes, it should be. Or you might have some reasons why these 3 words. So? 3 words? No, do you have them?
Yeah.
Anka?
I got 5. I'm just.
Okay, we'll let you whittle that down a little bit. So anybody not have their 3 words on that side in TV land? Everybody have the 3 words hand up if you have them? Okay. Marcia is just a mystery. Are you back, Marcia? Okay, yay. Okay, good. We'll just give Anka a couple more seconds. Now I have 7. What?
Crossed out 2. I don't know if some of them can be.
Okay, I think we'll start with Marcia while we're waiting for Anka.
Okay.
Hello, Marcia. There you are. Hi.
Hi. I had 8 words. So,
Wow.
okay,
Okay, I'm going to give you a minute more. It's okay. We'll wait for you and Anka.
I'll
Okay.
say the thing that
Or wait.
the most.
Louder. Pick your mic up. Your mic's a little low. Your mic is on your headset, right?
No, I'm using the. Can you hear me?
I can now.
Okay. Okay, so my 3 of 8 that I'm choosing is it's about being, balance, and self-love.
Being, value, and self-love.
Being,
Being, balance, self-love. Being, balance, and self-love. Lovely. That's really good. Nice one, Marcia. Okay, Kamishni.
Yay! My 3 words is it's about emotion,
Yes.
the mind, and body, and connecting the 3 to give you energy projection.
Connecting the 3 to give you
Energy projection.
energy projection. That's very specific. So, emotion, mind, and body coming together to give you energy projection.
Yeah.
Remembered. Good job, Kamishni. Thank you.
Okay.
Marianne, do you have 3 words?
Yes, I've got mindfulness, movement, and harmony.
Mindfulness, movement, and harmony. Beautiful. Very nice. Have we lost Anka? I mean, Mariki?
Hi.
Were you hiding?
Now, when I write, I'm on the mat, so that's better.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Just tell her I'm just kidding. Okay, what are your 3 words, Mariki?
Okay, so I said functional in terms of the movement part.
Hold on.
Functional.
Uh-huh.
Functional in terms of the movement part of the practice.
Yes.
Freedom of intellect and breath, which is bliss.
Bliss.
Breath.
What did she just say?
Breath.
Breath.
Which means bliss.
Breath, which means bliss.
Or takes you there.
Or takes you there. Okay. All right. Beautiful. Thank you. You all have good words. I don't always, it's amazing how many different words people can put together for the totality of yoga. Okay, so who wants to go first?
Okay.
Yeah.
Alignment. So alignment in terms of mind, body, spirit, and balance. So these are umbrella terms.
Umbrella terms, yes, that's what we're looking for.
Okay, good. Mindfulness. So that's also like being mindful in your movement and how you treat other people and also your inner world.
Yes.
And then prana, but more in terms of breath, because you can, I think, just in life, it's really good just to connect to your breath.
Okay, so read them again.
Alignment, mindfulness, prana.
Beautiful. Anka, dear.
I've got mindfulness as well. on and off the mat. Acceptance. And that also as a teacher, you accept where people are and it doesn't become your practice. You know, everyone's space on the mat's sacred and you accept all the students where and who they are. And then the curiosity.
Beautiful. So say them all three again.
Mindfulness,
Yeah.
acceptance, and curiosity.
Beautiful. And lastly,
Okay, so mine is compassion, awareness, and acceptance.
compassion, awareness, and acceptance.
Yeah.
Beautiful. You guys all have really good words. Okay. So would you guys like to know what the masters decided the 3 words were that was the totality of yoga?
And
Anybody?
we'd like to hear yours, perhaps, Brian, would be nice if you want to share.
Okay. You pulled it out of me.
No pressure.
So if you go to page 30 in your mag,
There was an answer.
so it says, what is yoga? The second paragraph down the page. And it says, Sat Chit Ananda. And I remember one time I did this part in the course and somebody was wearing a t-shirt that said Sat Chit Ananda on it and they didn't know what it meant. And it was exactly what we were doing in class. So Sat Chit Ananda has a lot of different meanings. If you notice there's a ton of meanings for the words based on definitions. But the last one is the one that they've agreed upon. So Sat is truth. Sat is truth. Sit is consciousness. And Ananda is bliss. So truth, consciousness, and bliss. And these are transformational concepts. Like different people have different insertion points. So like me, one of my transformational tools that I use often is truth. What is my truth? What is the truth? What is the truth about the universe? What is the truth? And truth is very valuable, especially my truth. Who am I? When I take my truth of what I'm feeling and subtract my fears and just feel what my truth is, that's my true north. So, and when I gain ground in truth, I gain ground in consciousness at the same time, and I gain ground in bliss at the same time. Some people seek bliss is their insertion point, is their right arm. And as they seek bliss in meditation and being close to however they're being blissful, they learn about being conscious, because to really enjoy that bliss, you need to experience it. You need to be conscious to it. And that there's also truth in that. And then lastly, the people that seek consciousness to be more conscious is that they get truth and they get bliss out of. So they're beautiful insertion points. You probably already have one. So it's interesting to be able to notice how you operate in life. Sit, Sat, Chit, Ananda. Sat, Chit, Ananda. Truth, consciousness, and bliss. It's a lovely experience to actually feel that. And let's just finish this. So we're going to ask Megan, that she just loves reading things in yogic philosophy. We can't stop her, so I just let her go. I'm not going to judge her. Just going to let her do it. And we get started now.
Yoga teachings point to a cosmic consciousness, which has mysteriously been disrupted or fractured by an ego sense that says, this is I, and therefore that is you, hence creating a separation in the mind. From this division flows the stream of worry, anxiety, fear, and hate. To find an end to the stream, you need to realize that you are the stream. All our problems arise from the non-understanding of the simple truth that whatever there is indivisible whole. If this understanding arises, then all problems are dissolved immediately. The truth of this overall state of consciousness is accessible to all of us, in which there is neither contradiction, conflict, confusion, nor distress, but in which there is great joy, bliss, and peace. The ancient yoga text, Yoga Sutras, points to this truth through step-by-step simplicity.
Beautiful. I'm just reading the next one to see if I... Yeah, go ahead, you can read that as well.
Practice and integration. Yoga is a practice, connectedness is a practice, obtaining union is a practice. Unless Ashtanga is known by the levels of our being as experienced knowledge and not merely superficial intelligence, the science of this technology will not take effect. As one's practice develops, a true understanding and knowledge of the limbs materializes. The practitioner becomes aware of how the limbs cannot be separated, but how they evidently mesh into one understanding and clear view. Creating space, create space in your body, create space in your lungs, create space in your mind.
Beautiful. So in ending off today's homework is how would you like to deal with projection and perception? What can you test between now and next week? What can you test about the meanings that you're adding? How do you want this to live for you? We want you to try something between now and Wednesday. So what is it on here that you can try? Page 46 and 47. And it does relate a little bit to Dharma and Karma. Actually, but just look at page 46 and 47 for now. What can you test? What can you try and apply? What practice can you give a wing to between now and Wednesday? What's something you can check? Your options are, if you're adding meaning, that if you're making judgments, if you're making inferences, is adding meaning. If you're being superior, you can also look at trying to be a peer, more of a peer, more of understanding somebody else's interpretation of events, their perception of reality, suspending your judgments, which you've already agreed to, but maybe something closer to home in your relationships with the people around you. What can you actually test on the short term? What's something that you can apply or try to apply or try and learn between now and Wednesday in regards to these 2 pages? Megan.
Oh, we have to make a decision now.
Yeah.
So for me, with my triggers, the meaning I add to it and taking it personally.
So you can take a look at all of your triggers, like the things you take personally, for example?
Or like maybe if someone says something to me between now and Wednesday,
that you would normally take personally.
That I would normally take personally, and then relate it and see what meaning I'm adding to it based on maybe my own insecurities.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're going to check to see if that's what they mean? Are you going to test your thinking?
Yeah, I'll try to be objective.
Yeah, but just with yourself?
Myself.
Or are you going to ask them what they meant by their words? If you took something personally that somebody said, you could say, oh.
Yeah, I suppose I was going to say I'll check myself.
Yeah.
But
okay.
Yeah.
That's enough.
Yeah.
That's enough. You turned pink as well. So that's enough just to check yourself.
Yeah.
But if it leads to you asking, like if you feel like it in the moment, then now we've talked about it. So now you might do it and you might not. It's not an expectation. Yeah. Okay, good. She's good now. Okay. So Mariki, what is it that you can try and apply between now and Wednesday?
For me, it will also be what meaning I'm adding. So just
anything specific?
Finding that space. it's just interpretation of what people say to me and how it makes me feel. So
Yes.
basically just reflecting on that. And then peership in terms of allowing others to express their views equal to mine.
Yes. Beautiful. Okay. And are you, when people say stuff to you and you interpret it, are you just going to watch your interpretations, or are you going to ask them what they meant by their words?
It will depend on who made the comment, but I will try and ask them what they meant.
Did the internet? No? They're back.
Hello.
There we go. You just, everybody froze for.
Yeah. No, so I said, I will, like, if it's my husband, then obviously I'll ask him what he meant by it. But if it's a stranger, I'm not quite sure how I'll react. So I'll probably just observe myself.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. Okay, good job. Okay, and Mia?
Yes, okay. Well, like, see, that's probably the most important one. Okay, no. I will not make assumptions. I will try my best to look at the meaning that I'm adding to what someone's saying.
Yes.
And then also look at the assumption that I am making.
Yes.
Whether it is about myself or about them.
Cool.
And then reflect on that.
Okay, and make notes of it. Make a note that it happened.
Oh.
I don't mean now, I mean then.
Maybe I
Just so you can
should
remember
make-
and tell us.
Yeah, but now I wanted to pick something else. But okay.
Okay, we'll come back to you. Okay, Kamishni, what can you apply? What can you test? What can you practice between now and Wednesday?
I'm going to try and do the perceptions of reality, that two people can look at the same thing but have different perceptions, but not necessarily that mine is right and theirs is wrong. Both can be right.
Missed the last two words.
Both can be right.
Oh, that both can be right. Yes.
Both perceptions can be right, yeah.
Right, well, they are right because they are their perception, and neither of them might be the truth. Neither one of them might be the truth. So allowing people to have perceptions. Yes.
No, just it's like neither of them might be the truth. I'm like, how am I going to? It's so complicated.
Well, when you allow yourself your own perceptions, you allow other people's perceptions, and then maybe in asking other people about their perceptions, and maybe lots of people in life might bring us closer and closer and closer to a truth.
Yeah.
So that might be the way we get there, actually. And then so learning conversations, so that's what we're trying to do, is learn along the way. So cool. Thank you, Kamishni.
Okay.
Marianne, Marianne first.
Okay. I think I will go more into the peership. To listening to reasoning and other person's point of view. And discuss it more openly. Yeah.
Do you have a person in mind?
No, not really. I must say, I'm quite in a happy spot at the moment. I will have to look for problems.
Or interpretations, they don't always have to be problems. They can just be.
I guess probably my husband or sometimes I do find, but that is more coming down to superiorities with the teenager kids.
Yes.
I understand a different version of what I'm telling them and how they understand what I'm telling them. So misunderstandings, but to explain myself a little bit better, and it's not what I meant to my daughter or to someone else. To one of them. That is.
How many teenagers do you have?
Sorry?
How many teenagers do you have?
I've got two. One is 15 and the other one is 14.
Good luck. Okay, Marcia? And what kind of practice can you look to adopt before Wednesday?
I
I am going to focus on the cleaning perceptions.
Okay.
And particularly linked to the learning conversation.
Okay. Do you have somebody in mind? You have a victim?
No, I think I thought what I would do is if I feel that there is a situation of potential conflict coming up over the next few days, you know, even if it's like a small thing like taking out the trash or whatever,
Okay.
that I will. So I was thinking of applying it particularly to a potentially conflicting situation.
Okay. Beautiful. Great. I look forward to Wednesday. This is going to be fun. So one left.
I'm going to also the meaning I add to the things people say to me.
Yes.
And only a few things. I'm going to also just the time or the space between the stimulus and the response.
Yes.
Because I'm quite a responder.
Yes.
To take a breath and then probably reflect on what the meaning I'm putting to what's being said.
Yes.
And as well as being the peership, being a peer instead of superior.
Because there's two ways with that as well. Most people choose the superior way. Some people always choose the inferior way. So some people do that as well. So neither one of them is taking care of you, but yes. Beautiful. Let's see where we are. 48, yeah, it's about time. So did we decide who was meditating us out? Who meditated us in? Marcia. Mia, how would you just love to meditate us out? So much. She said so much. So much. So my ladder of inference tells me she's excited about it. This is awesome. I can make further assumptions that I should probably ask her more often, because she probably wants to do more. My conclusion is I will ask her more often. My action is going to be, Maya?
Okay. Everyone, if you can just get into a comfortable seat and slowly close your eyes. Start focusing on your breath. Inhale, exhale through the mouth. Do another deep inhale. Exhale through the mouth. Okay. Now, concentrate on your breath. Imagine how it is going in, filling you up, and then you're taking just the nourishment that you need from the air and exhaling what you don't need. Just let go. I'm going to give you guys a few breaths on your own. Okay, you're slowly gonna return to the class. And I think we're gonna prepare for a round of Om. Okay, so I will go first. Inhale deep to prepare.
Inhale to prepare.
Inhale to prepare.
Inhale to prepare.
Keep your eyes closed. Bask in the energy you've created. Just feel the yogic philosophy concepts that you've been introduced to over this course. Have it permeate into the cells of your body and into your mind, making it easy for you to be able to remember and recollect and use some of these processes in the moment. Start feeling your way through what would be a beautiful practice for you to liberate yourself, to feel more freedom in your life, to feel more whole, to align with yourself in the difficult places where we're usually having some kind of fear, and ultimately being able to displace that and raise your frequency by identifying where you are and being willing and wanting to change it, and by knowing what to do to be able to raise your frequency at any given point is a beautiful thing. Feel deeply into the core of yourself. Feel that tube of light coming from creation, where you're taking the download of what it feels like to experience the human beingness that you are. Creation is always shining on you. It's up to you to feel it and feel what you are and let it radiate from you. Radiate from your heart what your inner world feels like. The stillness, the wholeness. As you feel that coming down into you, you're taking the download of you. You're radiating that out from your heart at the same time, matching your inner world. Take a few moments with yourself to do any unfinished business that you need to do with you, what pleasures you, what aligns you, what feels good in you. We've come to the end of yet another session. Your hands to your heart, feeling gratitude to creation for the honor of being the gift that you are, to be the consciousness that you are. Thank you very much for your time and energy today. Enjoy your weekend. Namaste.
Namaste.
Hmm.
Bye.
What?
Bye, guys. See you tomorrow.
What did Marianne say?
No, nothing. I said bye.
Oh. Bye, everybody.
Bye, all.
Bye, Marcia. That was fun.
How many men do the teacher training? It's always goddesses.
Goddesses. There are.
How do you find additions? All that girls.
There is.